Hey guys, welcome to Sippin' and Spillin' with Sid from 3 Mississippi. I hope you're having a great start to your week. Man, what a crazy weekend of storms if you live in the South. It was a lot. We didn't get it as bad as we thought we were going to get it. It kind of narrowly missed us, but we did end up Saturday night. We had intense thunder, lightning, decent amount of rain. They had us under a flood watch, but we don't really flood where we are, so it would have to be like Noah get the ark for it to be bad for us. At least, you know, at our house, because our house is up on a little hill, so everything kind of sheds off into the creek. But I mean, it was shaking the house. The thunder was so, like, there's been only one other storm since we lived here that the thunder, and it was when we had the last bad round of tornadoes, that it was so intense that it was like, you know, harken back to my earthquake days, living through those. And I guess there was a tornado that was headed towards, or a possible tornado that was headed towards Tupelo that didn't ever touch the ground. And then one did touch down in New Albany, which is not too far away from us, but not super close. And so it all worked out. Mike ended up staying up all night watching the storm because Frankie had gone out. They had prom last night, and Frankie went out with the kids, and we had said, like, if the storm gets bad and we call y'all back home, y'all have to come back home. But it never got bad where they were, really. So they ended up, and she spent the night at her friend's house last night, so ended up okay. But Mike was still watching the weather to see. And then of course I was just having my my anxiety every time I would start to fall asleep. Then something would happen, like we'd get another big boom crash, and I'd wake up, my heart would be pounding, and the house would still be shaking, and the animals were losing it. The two inside dogs, I gave them their Benadryl at about 12:30, and the cat was freaking out, and he never freaks out when there's a storm. So it was intense, but it had cooled down. There was a cold front that came through, and so when I got up to drug the dogs, I walked outside just to see how windy it was, because it was hard to tell from inside the house because it was so pitch black outside. And it wasn't that windy, and it had cooled down a lot. It had been really humid earlier in the day, and I was like, oh man, if this humidity keeps up, that's not good for tornadoes. But we were okay. Like, I guess the humidity and the high pressure, or whatever it is that causes the tornadoes, was to the east of us, and we got the cold front that came through. So it's actually a little chilly now and raining a bit. I just ran to the grocery store while they're in choir practice because I got to make a salad and some fruit for Sunday lunch today, with our usual gang, and get that done. I know Mike's tired because he ended up staying up all night, and we ended up not having really bad weather yesterday during the day. It kept saying, like, in an hour, and then we're watching the sky, and it was gloomy and humid, but and it did get windy a bit later in the afternoon, but we didn't get any rain during the day. So Mike did a bunch of stuff in the garden. I was working on a video that posted, as you see this, on yesterday on Sunday at 2 o'clock, and about us getting the lambs and kind of what happened with that and what's going on with that, and getting everybody situated, and the chaos that ensued from not realizing the fences were down, and it was all the things. But you'll see that if you haven't already. Make sure you go watch the video that came out on Sunday, because we did get off schedule this last week because of the lambs. I wasn't able to edit because we were troubleshooting fencing and things like that. So and I didn't film anything yesterday because I was editing Sunday's video. So we'll see what I get done today in between church and life and all that. We'll see how it goes. But I know there's always more to do, but then today we're supposed to have more thunderstorms and rain. No threat of tornadic stuff, but like potential thunderstorms, lightning, the usual stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And I did want to give you guys an update. I know I think it's been about a month since I told you, or at least a few weeks since I told you guys about it. My mom had lost her phone. I couldn't get a hold of her. I ended up getting a hold of her neighbor a couple of times just to get proof of life. And she, as of this last week, did get a phone, and she's back on the grid. So that's good. When I go out in August, I'm going to see if she'll let me put a Find My iPhone thing on her phone so that like I can assist next time, even though I'm far away. My guess is she's going to rebuke that, but I can try. So we will try. So there's that. But yeah, so it's been a little bit of a rough couple of days with everything going on. And there was, with worrying about my mom, and some of her friends reached out to me. Her church went and did a wellness check because she hadn't been there in a month, which I didn't know. So then I got worried because the last time I knew that somebody had seen her was like a week ago. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's new information. So anyway, everything's fine. Everything's fine. But it's hard when you're far away, and my mom's not always the most communicative about stuff. So sometimes it's hard to know kind of what's going on with her. So anyway, that's the update on that. But just waiting for them to get out of choir practice. I am taking to Monday, today, as you guys are seeing this, my 8 ducklings that I've got that are in the brooder right now with half a dozen laying hens, and well, more than half a dozen, because then I bought 4 more. A few laying hens, and my turkey poults that are in there, and the turkey poults are doing great, and they're stinking cute. There's nothing cuter than a turkey poult, really. I mean, that's not true. There's other things that are probably cuter, but turkey poults look like miniature ostriches to me, and I just think they're adorable. They're not the brightest, but they're adorable, and these are doing better. And I always try to raise turkey poults with at least 1 or 2 other chicks, like chicken chicks, because they figure out the eating and drinking thing, no problem. Turkeys, you almost have to bribe them to have a will to live sometimes. Some breeds more than others, but man, like they can be a struggle sometimes. But anyway, I'm gonna keep all the turkeys, because by the time Mike told me he did want me to get turkeys this year, it was too late. They were sold out. The season was over for ordering them, at least for McMurray, and I didn't go hunting because I still have 3, technically 4. I have a breeding pair that's like, one's a bourbon and the other one's a half bourbon, half palm. And so anyway, but the white broad-breasted that I have, that we were supposed to process at around Christmas, we ended up not processing yet, and so we'll probably process those in the near future, because we do have 3 ducks to process, so we'll probably just make a day of it and process them, hopefully before we have to do start whacking into the Cornish that we moved out to the well, we're doing them in the front yard, but I'm still calling it the pasture because they're still eating the same grass. And honestly, that grass has been probably fertilized more in the areas that I'm moving them to than the area that I have done them in the past 2 years that we've been here with the birds. So the grass is really, so they're doing great. Just moving them every day and doing their thing. And the lambs are still doing really well, making progress with them every day. Today they were cute because Sundays is a little different of a routine a lot of times because, got to get back inside, got to get ready for church, most days I'm not, so I try to plan it where I don't have to refill anybody's feed buckets on Sunday. I don't have to do anybody's waters. Like, I try to do everything on Saturday so that I can just do, like, clean out the coop, collect the eggs, feed Beulah, feed the dogs, and do, like, the bare minimum, on Sunday mornings, because I'm usually a little bit more pressed for time. And especially because I didn't sleep well last night, I was glad that I didn't have to do a lot. But the lambs, as soon as they heard me doing my rounds, came running up to the to the gate, and so then I had to go over and love on little Milky Way. Was specifically wanting some little loves on her face, and then there's another one that's like wants to be loved on but isn't totally convinced yet. If I put food down, they 100% will all come over, but you know, there's still like a little bit of a, we're not sure yet. It's only been a few days, so you know, but they are doing great. And it's so cute to look out there and see them, and when you talk to them, they start talking back, and they're cute. And it's funny to see them, you know, and then look over at the other fence at side, a ram, and see, because you don't realize how big he's getting until you see him next to another lamb, and you're like, oh, he has gotten bigger in the last, you know, 2 months or whatever it's been. Maybe 3. I don't know, I have to go back and look. But I'm like, all right, you know, cool. He's not stunted his growth, but you just don't realize it when you see them every day sometimes, until all of a sudden you go, ooh, you know, you got big. So he's pretty cute. So unfortunately, even with Frankie gone last night, Mike and I didn't really get to spend any time together. He was putzing around in the shop, and then he was staying up watching the storm, and I had made a nice dinner, but I finally, like, I baked some chicken and carrots and potato and all that, and I was like, all right, I'm going to bed. I'm tapping out. You do what you're gonna do. But then of course the storm woke me up, so he was, I came downstairs to drug the dogs and check on him, and he was glued to Ryan Hall, y'all, and you know, watching out the big window in the front to see what was going on. But you know, all's well that ends well, I suppose. It's all doing well. But anyway, that being said, gonna have another busy week. I got some errands to run this week. I think I have to go to Tupelo and Starkville this week, or at least Starkville. I feel like I'm supposed to take Mike's boots back to Tupelo to get fixed. There's one of them is wonky, and we had it fixed once, but it's almost worse. I don't think he realized which way his foot was leaning in the boot, so he made it like the heel is funky. Anyway, so I got to take that back and get that fixed at some point. We'll see if I have time this week. And I got to work on videos for this week for y'all too. And we were gonna pressure can some sweet potatoes because Frankie's friend Layla brought us a bunch of sweet potatoes, but then this weekend he ended up being able to garden, and it wasn't storming during the day, because we were like, well, if it's storming, we'll pressure can all the sweet potatoes. But it wasn't storming, so maybe that's what we'll end up doing today, since it's supposed to be like this out, and get that done, and maybe I'll film a little bit of that and do that. We'll see. So there you have it, guys. That's what's happening. The usual craziness, as always. But I gotta get home and make this fruit and make this salad, not to be confused with a fruit salad, very different. But anyway, I digress. I hope y'all are having a great beginning to your week as we're getting closer and closer to Holy Week. There's gonna be lots of activities going on. Be busy that week. So I hope you're finding time to spend it with your family, and as always, guys, stay blessed, and remember, safety's off.